Yes, so basically this question was a very simple one, and what the candidates were required to do here is to prepare the statement of financial performance. I've said here you just need to know what are incomes by this ministry, and basically what are expenditures, because that's what we capture here. And then the candidates were also required to prepare the statement of financial position. So automatically we start with Roman 1. So we need to have the title, so the name of the ministry. This is the Ministry of 𝗙𝗵, and this is what? This is a statement of financial. This is a statement of financial what? Performance. Statement of financial performance, which is basically for the year which ended 30th of June 2025. 30th of June 2025. So that will be our title here. Will be our title. And basically, what do we start here with? What do we start by recording? We start by recording the revenue, the revenue of this particular ministry. Remember, revenue, we have said that, like the incomes. But basically, here we don't use the word income. Incomes, we use the word incomes when dealing with the profit-making organizations. But when dealing with the non-profit making organizations, basically we talk of what? Revenue. We talk of revenue. So which items of revenue do we have here? First of all, the first item we have the transfer from the exchequer. Transfer from the exchequer, this is the amount of money which was allocated to this ministry from who? From the exchequer, or basically from the treasury. So remember here, we just need to have we can have two columns, maybe. Let's just have two columns. We have two columns here. And I hope you can see our figures up there. They are given in million of shillings. So we have the transfer from the exchequer. In other terms, I've referred to this as budgetary appropriation. This is basically the money which was allocated to this ministry from who? From the exchequer, or basically from the treasury. The transfer from the exchequer, that is 750. So below that, what do we have? We have the fees and licenses. So basically what I've said is that if we go to this ministry basically provides some services. It charges a small fee. So this is the fees, which basically is what is charged, and also what fees charged for the services offered. Fees and what? Licenses. That is still an item of revenue. So below that, we have liabilities. Liabilities for long-term benefits. Liabilities for long-term benefits. This is a non-current liability. We have the long-term borrowing, a non-current liability. Finance cost is an expense, is an expenditure. And then from there, we have the supplies and consumables used. I've said these are those items which are used in the office, like the stationaries and so on. That is an expenditure. Wages and salaries, an expenditure. Other operating, actually, we have other expenses. Other expenses, that is an expense. We have the transfer from other ministries. That is still a revenue. Transfer from other what? From other ministries. From other ministries. How much is that? Transfer from other ministries. I hope you can see that figure. Can you see that figure, Lydia? 𝗔𝗂𝗶𝗏, can you see that figure? 𝗙𝗂𝗃, can you see that figure? Transfer from other ministries. Is it 75? Yes, it is 75. Then we have transfer to other. Transfer to other ministries is an expenditure. Is an expenditure. Then we have computer equipment and software. Those are what? Assets. Yes. And then we have motor vehicles, landed buildings. All those are basically assets. And then we have the revenue from exchange transaction. Revenue from the exchange transaction. So the revenue from the exchange transaction. Yes, let's continue. So basically, I've said that this basically transfer from exchange transactions is also what? Is also a revenue from what? From the exchange. From exchange transactions. From exchange transactions, how much is that? That is 150 million. That is 150 million. Then from there we have other revenue. So other revenue. So we also capture that here. Other revenue. Other revenue is an amount of how much? Is an amount of 900. is an amount of 900. Then from there we have payables. Payables, what is this? Who can tell us what is a payable? From this category we have covered, we have covered in other topics. Payable is what? Radian. Zido, Kezia, Jefa. What is the a payable? A payable is what? A payable is what? I'm told by Jefa is the part of the creditors. Felix. Kezia, these are an expense. Kezia, this one is an expense. Hapana, this one is not an expense. Payable. Payable is a liability. Payable is a liability, is not an expense. Sasa? Yes. In other terms, this is what we refer to as creditors in other topics. Sasa? Kezia, remember that. So reserves, this one will go to the statement of financial position. Cash and cash equivalent is an asset. Receivables is an asset. Inventory on consumables. Anytime you come across inventory, is a current asset. Is a current what? Asset. So basically you can see we don't have any other item of revenue. So what we need to do, we get the total revenue. We get the total revenue. So that we move and we less what? The expenditures. But before we less the expenditures, give me the total assets. Not the total assets, the total revenue. Give me the total revenue here. The total revenue. The total revenue I'm given by Kezia a figure of 56, 56.25. 56.25, 56.25. 56.25, confirmed by Jefa. Yes. So then we need to proceed and we list what? Expenditures. Expenditures, we have a number of them. I think we will start from where we have our first expenditure up there in those balances. The first expenditure we have should be the finance cost. Should be the finance cost. Should be the finance cost. And basically we record now the expenditures in the first column here. And that is an amount of 150. 150. Then we have what? We have the supplies and consumables used. The supplies and consumables used. So the supplies and consumables used, this one is an amount of 600. It's still an expenditure. So below that we have wages and salaries. Wages and who? And salaries. Wages and salaries, which is an amount of 1,500. So below that we have other expenses. Other expenses. Other expenses. So the other expenses is an amount of 1,800. 1,800, yes. So then from there we have transfer from other ministries. Remember that one was an income here or was a revenue. And then below that we have transfer to other. So this money transfer to other ministries. That one is considered to be an expenditure to our ministry here. Transfer to other ministries. Transfer to other ministries, how much is that? That is an amount of 750. Is that correct? The transfer to other ministries, is it transfer to other ministries? That one should be 750, yeah? Is that the position? 750? Jeff? Is it 750? Yes. So below that we have basically computer, motor vehicle, land, all those are assets. Revenue from exchange, we have already considered that here as an income. Then we have other revenue, payable, reserves, accumulated fund, cash, reserve. Yes. So in our case, we don't have any other item of expenditure. So let's get to the total expenditures here. And basically we take that to the last column. We less that from our total revenue. We less that from our total revenue. You can see how simple this was because you just need to know what are incomes, what are revenues, what are expenditures. So this will give us a total of 48. We less it from that, and automatically in our case here, we will have a surplus. We will have a surplus for the year. 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 So the surplus for the year will be how much? The difference between those two values there. The surplus for the year, I'm told, is an amount of how much? The surplus for the year, I'm told here by Jefa, is an amount of 825. 825. Kezia has also confirmed that. I hope you're getting the same Zido. I hope you're getting the same Meridian. Are you getting the same figure? Are you getting the same figure? Felix, are you getting the same figure? HP, Ni nani anajiita HP? Who is this? Is this Doris mwenye anajiita HP ama ni nani huyu? Yes, HP. Are you getting the same HP? Okay, sawa sawa, that is confirmed. Yes, yes. So basically, this is now what was required as far as that question is concerned. And basically, the marks allocated there were 5. So automatically, what is marked here are the items of revenue and the items of expenses, or these lorries. Okay. Okay. So that basically what was required. So I want us to move now to the other part of that question. You can see how simple this is. Roman 2, the statement of financial position. Statement of a financial position as at 30th of June 2025. As at 30th of June 2025. 30th of June 2025. Now, basically, I've said we prepare this one based on the accounting equation. We start by recording assets. We classify them into 2, and then we list liability. So here we start by recording assets. And specifically, we start by recording the non-current assets. And I hope you can be able to recall, we say that the non-current assets, these are basically the assets which are expected to be used by an entity for a period beyond 1 financial year. Number 2, these particular assets, they are acquired basically to help an entity in terms of doing what? In terms of generating income. In terms of generating what? Incomes or basically revenue. So therefore, those are the assets we start by recording here. So we have a number of non-current assets. We have a number of non-current assets. So which non-current asset do we have in our case here? So which non-current asset do we have here? I think we can start from where we have computer equipment and software. Can we go to where we have computer equipment and software? Can you see that, Doris? Computer equipment and software. Equipment and software. I hope you can be able to see that. Yes. So that basically is an amount of 400. 400. So below that, we have motor vehicles. We have motor vehicles. Motor vehicles having a value of 350. Then below that, we also have land and buildings. Land and buildings. Land and buildings. So for the land and buildings, that is an amount of 5250. 5250, yes. So do we have any other non-current assets? Do we have any other long-term assets? I can't see any other. I can't see any other. I can't see any other. So what we need to do here is, first of all, we get the total. We get the total, so that then we proceed and record current assets. So this will give us a total of what? This will give us a total of what? This 7, 9. Are you getting 59? The total non-current assets. Total non-current assets. Therefore, Felix, are you getting 59? Are you getting 59? 59, are you getting 59 here? 6,000. Oh, sorry, 6,000. Yeah, this one should be 6,000. 6,000. Then we proceed. We record the current assets. Now, for the current assets, we have this current number of them. Current assets, maybe you can start from where we have the first non-current assets. Is basically we have all of them below those balances. We can start from where we have the cash and cash equivalents. Cash and cash equivalent. Cash and cash equivalent. And maybe someone may ask here, what is cash? Cash refers to any money which is held in the bank account, including cash in hand. And the cash equivalent is our short-term investment. For example, if you have invested in things like what? The treasury bills, which are short-term, that is part of the cash equivalent. Or maybe you have invested in shares trading in the securities exchange market. That is not cash, but is a cash equivalent. You can be able to sell those shares within a very short period of time. So that is basically 750. So below that, we have receivables. Receivables, still this one is a current asset, and that is 300. And then we have inventory. Inventory for what? For consumables. Inventory for consumables is basically an amount of what? Is an amount of 150. All those are current assets. All those are current what? Assets. Do we have any other item of current assets? Any other item of current asset? Any other item of current asset? I can't see any. I can't see any. So what we need to do is basically we get the total current. Okay, in this case, I think we can just go ahead and let's get the total current asset first of all. Total current asset, this and this will come to 900, and that will give us 12. And then from there, we get the total assets. So how do we get the total assets? To get the total asset, we add the total non-current asset plus the total current asset. We add this and this. Total non-current asset and total current assets. I hope here you're getting 12. Are you getting 12? Yes, that is confirmed. So the total assets in our case will be what? Will be 72. And actually we can denote this using capital A. Our total assets will be capital A. And then from there, I've said, when preparing this statement of financial position for public sector entities, we proceed and we less the liabilities. So to this, we proceed and we record what? The liabilities. We record the liabilities. We record the liabilities. These liabilities, we classify them into two. Non-current liabilities and what? And the current liabilities. Non-current liabilities and current what? Liabilities. Non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Non-current liabilities and current what? Liabilities. Non-current liabilities are the long-term liabilities. And I think we have two basically up there. The first item is transfer from exchequer fees and licenses. And then below that, we have liabilities for long-term benefits. That is an non-current liability. We have liabilities for what? For long-term benefits. For long-term what? Benefits, which is basically how much? 300. And then below that, we have long-term. We have long-term borrowing. So the long-term borrowing is an amount of how much? Is an amount of 1,500. So those are non-current liabilities. Do you have any other non-current liabilities? And I hope if you check on this particular question, you can see similar items are given together. I don't know whether you are seeing that pattern, because if you check, for example, these current assets, they were given together. The non-current liabilities were given together. If, for example, it is like expenses, they are given together. Yes, mostly if you check, you'll be able to see we don't have any other non-current liability. Maybe you can just go through the other items. So below that, we have finance costs, suppliers, wages, other expenses, transfer, computer, motor vehicle, land, revenue, other revenue, payable, reserves, accumulated fund, cash. You can see we don't have any other. So basically what we need to do here, let's get the total. The total. So this one would be 1,800. 18 what? 1,800. And then from there, we proceed and we record what? We record the current liabilities. So the current liabilities, I think in our case, we have, I think I've only seen one. The one, or basically the payable, that is. Other than payable, do we have anything else? I can't see any other. I think we only have one, and that is basically what? Payables. Payables. Who can see that amount? How much is that, the amount for payables? Kezia. And remember, you say that this one is a liability, not an expenditure. Kezia, I hope you can remember that. How much is that amount? Kezia, give us that amount. Give us that amount. Yes, I'm told by Kezia, this one will be 750. This one will be 750. Yes. And then what we need to do, because we only have one, we don't need to get the total current liabilities. We can proceed and we get the total liabilities. We get the total what? Liabilities. Total liabilities will be this plus this. And that basically will give us 2550. Will give us 2550. 25 what? 50 will give us 2550. 25 what? 50. So having that, then we proceed and we get something called the net assets. Net assets. And in fact, we can denote this using capital B. total liabilities to be our capital B. So how do we compute the net assets? The net asset, this one is equal to total assets, whatever you have here, minus liabilities, minus total liabilities, what we have there. Net asset is equal to asset minus what? Liabilities. So we take 72 minus 2550. 72 minus 2550. That one will give us what? Notice. It will give us how much? Will give us how much? Will give us how much? Zero will give us how much? Will give us how much? That one. It will give us 4650. So basically double underline that. We double underline that. So after double underline that, we finally record what? Equity. So basically I've said equity. This comprises of accumulated fund, which must be adjusted with the surplus or the deficit for the year, plus the reserves. Plus what? The reserves. So the first item we record here is basically the accumulated fund. The accumulated fund. The accumulated fund, which we have there, which basically are given in those balances. I hope you can see accumulated fund is somewhere down there, below inventory, above receivables, and also above cash and cash equivalent. So accumulated fund is given as what? As 1125. That is the accumulated fund at what? At the start. So to this accumulated fund, we need to add the surplus for the year. We add the surplus. But remember, in this case, if, for example, we had a deficit, that one should be deducted. So we add the surplus for the year, and that is 825. So that now will give us the accumulated fund at the end. So this will be how much? So 0, 5, 9. That will give us 1950. Are you getting 1950? Are you getting 1950? The accumulated fund plus the surplus for the year, 1950. Yes, that is confirmed by 0. And finally, I've said to this, we also add what? We also add the reserves. We also add the reserves. Now, we have reserves still above this accumulated fund, and the reserves is an amount of 27. And the reserves is an amount of what? 27. So we get now the total equity. And this basically equity is another name for net asset. Equity is another name for what? For net asset. Simply because we know that from the accounting equation, we say asset and equal to equity plus what? Plus liabilities. So equity. So if, for example, or we make equity the subject of the formula, you can see equity is equal to assets minus what? Liabilities. And actually, we are saying the difference between asset and liabilities, this one is also known as the net asset. So if you take asset minus liabilities, that can be known as net asset. It can also be known as equity. So, yes. So equity is the same with what? The net asset. So the same case here. This total equity is the same with the net what? Assets. Is the same with the net asset. So we add these two values here, which will give us 46 what? 4650. So, and basically we have said whatever you get here as our net asset, this one, that should always agree with that one. And I hope you can see that is the case. So this is basically what was required there. And equally the marks allocated here were 5 marks. Or 5 what? 5 marks. So therefore, this one was a very simple one. This one was a very, very simple one. Basically, these were just a free word, 3 marks. I don't know whether this was a repetition, because we have another question, another similar question, which was tested some time back. I want to give that other question as an assignment. In one of the most recent sittings, I think that question was just the same with this one. Let me see. So August of 2024. Yes. Actually, this question was just like a repetition. So I'll give this question here as an assignment. I'll give this question here as an assignment. You'll be able to see the two questions are the same. The two questions are the same. This one I'll give it as an assignment. I'll give it as an assignment. I'll give it as an assignment, as an assignment. And basically this is the question for which sitting here. April 2024. April 2024. Question number what? Question number 5A. Question 5A. Question 5A. Question 5A. Question 5A. Actually, the two questions are just the same. It's just like a copy paste. It's just like a copy paste. It's just like what? A copy paste, because I can see we have motor vehicles, but maybe automatically the values are not the same. Sawa? Yes. So what I want you to do, I want you to do this particular question here. I will see whether we are going to do it maybe in our next class. I think we can start with it because we also have other questions. But even before we meet, make sure first of all you attempt it on your own. It's a very simple area. It's a very, very simple area. This is an area whereby you should be able to get all the marks. If you come across a question from this area, you should be able to get all the marks. Sasa? Yes. For today, I want us to stop at that point. And I hope those who did the exam for August have already gotten the results. Anyone who did the exam for August, automatically is no. Therefore, you did the exam for last sitting? I think yes. I hope you have gotten the results. Kezia, you did the exam for last sitting? Lydian, no. Zido, you did the exam for last sitting? Lydian, no. Felix, what about Felix? Okay. Okay, no one who did the exam for... Yes, Lydian, I'll basically try to see whether I'll be able to share the previous recording and also the materials. Yes, I'll be able to share that in the class WhatsApp group. So let's stop at that point for today. We have a nice weekend. We continue from there next week. On Tuesday, we will still be looking on this topic here on public sector accounting. So have a nice weekend. See you on Tuesday.